The Botcast. What was impossible is now possible. Don't resist it, embrace it.
Okay, welcome everyone back to the Botcast, a podcast dedicated to talking about bots and the power of them on the online platform and what you can do with them. And I'm one of the hosts, Dr. Andrew Timms, but the brains behind this operation really is Daniel. Hey Daniel, how are you, mate?
Hey, good, thank you, Andrew.
Awesome. Okay, so what we're going to be talking about in this episode is Facebook actually did a bot a while ago, and there was a lot of slack that they got in the mainstream media about the failure of this bot. But really what we're going to be talking about is really, did Facebook fail or did Facebook not fail? And so let's jump into that and understand like when this bot was done and sort of why the media really gave them a bad name about the whole potential failure behind this bot.
Right, so back in April last year or around then, so we're talking almost 12 months ago. Oh, no, wait, we're over 12 months ago now. So like I said, back in the early days when Facebook had first started looking at the bot capabilities within their messenger platform, this was pre-opening it up to the API development where others could be doing it. They were more testing it out. And so they built their own bot on the instant messenger service, and it was to test it. It was to trial it. So it was very, very early on in the stage, and it had very limited capabilities in what we would look at now. Like at the time, it had huge capabilities because it was a new thing. So it was kind of like, wow, this is really cool. But at the same time, it was limited to what we do have on hand now, because 12 months in the tech world is absolutely huge for the advancement and innovation. But people jumped on it because what happened was that the bot, as they said, failed to answer or to assist 70% of the users. So users that were coming in asking it questions, the newspapers got all over it. But as we know, bad news is always 10 times more sellable than good news. People always try and sell bad news. So the newspapers and the tech industries got all over it, going 70% failure rate to actually assist in doing it. So therefore, it's not really that good as artificial intelligence if it can't even answer 70% of the customer's needs. And I guess what we've got to do is look at that, because naturally that's a good thing. And a lot of businesses jumped on it. And then there was a lot of other businesses saying, don't get caught up in it. Don't think about bots. Don't look to bots. Bots aren't the future, because when they can't answer 70% of the customer's needs, why would you want a service like that? However, from a marketing perspective, all you've got to do is look at this and flip that statistic around upside down on its head. And now I ask you the question, if you could do something in your business today where just with the click of a button, you could automate 30% of your business and customer service, where when customers ask a question, previously you answered 10 out of 10 questions. Now, you have 3 out of 10 questions covered for you. The customer gets answered, gets given what they need, moved on in the acquisition phase, and you don't need to. If 30% of what you do every day could be done for you, what would that be worth to you as a business owner? Like, how successful would that make you in the sense that you've been able to implement an automation process for 30% of the pie? So now, like I said, we've grown so far since April last year in regards to the AI. However, even back then in its early days, I would have given anything to be able to get a 30% automation as opposed to 0% automation. Yeah. So it was still, they got a 30% success maybe is what we need to look at, rather than a 70% failure.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny how you can flip statistics on the head and paint a completely different story. And I know there's, the larger the business you get, the more headaches you have from a customer service standpoint, and especially those industries like network marketing. Like, right. My God, the amount of stuff that goes through the customer service and the compliance stuff that they have to try and utilize there is ungodly. And if you could distribute 30% of that is, in those companies, millions and millions of dollars that they're potentially saving just from having something as inefficient supposedly as 30%, which is, with the statistics, is much better than that now.
Correct. I mean, we had, going back about 3 years ago, I had an online hunting store. That was one of our first e-commerce businesses, was this hunting store. And even then it was a small thing. We were doing a good couple of $1,000s a week in revenue and profit. And it was a great online business. Now, we would get around 10 questions a day. So that was kind of small, but each question took me around 10 to 15 minutes time out of my schedule to find the answers, respond to the answers, give all of that. As that business grew over the following year, it grew, and we got more and more questions. Now, to spend 10 to 15 minutes, if I had have just, even if we just say 10 minutes by the time I had answered, found the content they needed, and then got back into the mindset to do back what I was doing, there's half an hour a day that I could have saved out of my schedule by having the bot answer that. And as you know, Andrew, we were at a conference about a month ago speaking with a lady there who gets around 300 questions a day through her Facebook Messenger page simply on her product and service that they offer. Now, to automate 30%, that's 100 questions a day that could be completely automated by the bot, even on such an inefficient success rate as that. So it's when you look at it as only one question, sure, not fantastic, but the volume that Facebook was having, suppose they had even they got 2 billion users. Let's just say they get 1,000 questions a day. That would be very small. To have automated the answers to 300 of them would have just been phenomenal for their business. That's not a failure in any way, shape or form.
Exactly, that's right. And even those businesses like that lady we were talking to, even if it just took you 1 minute to answer, 100 minutes a day, my God, the productivity that you could have and the extra business and income that you can earn from having an extra 100 minutes a day to be able to focus on other things in the business is astronomically powerful.
Exactly right. Correct.
Yeah. So that was just a bit of an eye opener. We want to touch back on that story because it's really important to see, how people sort of slammed the idea of bots initially with the perception that it wasn't successful. But if you really look at it in the right frame of mind, for something brand new to be that powerful, really is a huge success. And where it's come from there, as Daniel was saying, is quite astronomical. What's possible. And they're just getting smarter and smarter and smarter, and the technology is just improving that much more.
And as we can see from that, there's no wonder, there's no thought where people say maybe it's just a fad and bots are going to be gone in a year from now. They did say that about websites back in 1996 and 1997. They said, well, it's a bit of a fad and it's not going to take on. Why would people sit there doing that when they could just get out the Encyclopedia Britannica off the shelf or go to the library?
They even said that about the internet itself, let alone websites.
That's right. Exactly right. That's it. So imagine that. You probably may be young enough to not even remember what an Encyclopedia Britannica is. But to have that where people said, why would they go online when they can just pick up the phone or drive past and drop in? Why would they go look at your web page? And now we look at it and a business is, you almost don't exist if you don't have a web presence because people don't take you seriously and literally because every business does have one now. And 80% of customers will look up a business's details online before going and doing one. So they'll go to Google, look up a business, and then they'll go frequent it now. And the same thing's going to be for bots. As we can see, well, we've got this technology that has rapidly evolved in such a pace. Every business will be moving across to bots in the near future. They're saying by 2020, it's going to be it's not just going to be that every business would have a website and social media page, but every business would have a bot. And so you've got this window of opportunity to stand out and get credibility if you can get in early on that uptake before the wave takes over and you just end up on the bottom of the list again.
Exactly. And that's why wouldn't you have a platform that is interactive, and the more professional you look to customers, the more attractive you're going to look in their eyes. And if you can guide people and give them the information they want, rather than having even a fantastic looking website where they're still having to go find the information they need, right? It's just making it 10 times easier for people.
Exactly right. And easier for you because now you've got more time to spend on your business, even if it is just an extra half an hour a day. You multiply that over a week, that's 2.5 hours a week. If you do a 5-day week over a month, that's 10 hours. So you've gained 2 full working days almost every single month just by saving half an hour a day from having a bot answer your questions, which does add up over time. Over a year, potentially you've gained yourself an extra week or two worth of working time. Exactly. Simply by using that bot at a 30% ratio. So
yeah, love it. Awesome. Well, that's the end of this episode. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Thanks again, Daniel. We please, we appreciate everyone that comes on. Thank you for listening. Please help share this. Jump on to iTunes, subscribe, rate, review the podcast. We'd greatly appreciate it because we need to get this word out to as many people as possible. So, thanks again,
Absolutely.
Daniel. Thanks again, buddy, for another great episode.
Thank you, Andrew. All right, bye.
Thank you for listening. If you value your life, you won't keep this a secret. Subscribe, rate, and review, or we will find you.